All right, boys and girls. So today we're gonna work on area of circles. So yesterday we worked on perimeter. Um, okay. So when we talked about perimeter, we said perimeter was the outside of a circle. So if we're working with area today, what do you think area would be? So if you said area would be the inside of the circle, you are correct. Area is going to be what's inside of the circle. So that would be our area. So area would be inside. And we said circumference was on the outside. So yeah, so area is on the inside, circumference is on the outside. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with our warm up. So this is your warm up for today. It says, what is the value for these squared numbers? So what is the value for these? So give you time to do that. You should know this from last year. Okay. So just in case you don't know, when you have a number up here that's to the power of, so 3 to the power of 2, what that means is 3 times 3. Okay, so what's 3 times 3? And then this would be the same thing except with 7, 5, and 6, so forth. Okay, so you need to have that on your, I believe that's on your notes. Let me double check. So yeah, that's on your, should be on your notes. If it's not, just do it on the back. Okay. So today's learning objective, I can determine the circumference and area of circles. So yesterday we did circumference. Today we're doing area, and it's only area. It's not a combination. Tomorrow and Thursday will be a combination of both. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with area of a circle. Find this formula on your charts. Formula chart. So you're gonna go ahead and pull out grab your formula chart and find area. Okay, so area is gonna be one of the black boxes on the formula chart. And then under area, you're going to find circle because we're looking for area of a circle. Okay, so what is your formula for area of a circle? I'm going to wait a little bit. So if you found it and you said area is A equals pi r squared, you are correct. And in case you were wondering, that's why our warm-up was practicing our squaring, because you're going to need to know to square what this squared means, or to the power 2 means, and that was good practice for you in order to find the area. Okay, and then we have pi. So pi, you can also find it on your formula chart. It is going to be towards the bottom under additional information. So you're going to find the black box labeled additional information, and then you'll find pi on there. All right, so if you said pi is 3.14 or 22 over 7, you are correct. So remember from yesterday, depending on the problem, it's going to depend on which version of pi you use. The problem may tell you to use 3.14, or it may tell you to use 22 over 7. If the problem does not specify, you are going to default to 3.14. Okay, so if the problem does not tell you to use 3.14 or 22 over 7, you will use 3.14. Okay. Okay. So we have our vocabulary. So we have our vocabulary, and it is similar to yesterday's. You have diameter, you have radius, like we did yesterday. The only difference is area. Okay, so we have area, and we talked about what area was at the beginning. And so area is the amount of space taken up by a 2D shape. So like with a circle, you have your circle, and so your area would be um the area, the space that the circle covers or takes up. So the inside of the circle. Okay, so it's not perfectly shaded. That's fine. It's just kind of to show you. Okay. And then some other quick differences you have are semicircle, okay? And a semicircle is basically half of the area of the circle, so it's gonna contain only half of it. Or if you, when you see what a semicircle looks like, you're gonna realize that it looks like half a circle. And then you have a quarter of circle, and that is 1/4 of the area of the circle. The hint here is quarter. How many quarters do you have in a dollar? 4. So if you have a quarter of a circle, you have 1/4 of a circle. Okay. So going on to our next part. So I kind of just went over the last 3 vocabulary words because we did some of this yesterday. So we have the circles. Okay. You're going to take your first one and label it with the diameter. So that's your diameter, and I am going to write diameter above it. And then you're going to label your next circle with the radius. Okay, and so remember, radius is from the center of the circle to the outer edge of the circle. And it can be drawn like this, like I just did, or it can be here or here. Okay, so it can be either any one of those. Okay. You can label radius any one way, either way of the either one of those ways, sorry. And so this is our radius. And I tell you that because you might see it uh, in a problem one of the other ways that I just showed you. Okay, and then you have semicircle and quarter circle. Which one do you think is going to be your semicircle? Okay, so you said this one, you are correct. This is your semicircle. And then this would be your quarter circle. And we said a semicircle would be half the area, and a quarter circle would be 1/4 of the area. Okay? And that answers how do we get from a circle to half a circle, and how do we, or to a semicircle, and how do we get from a circle to a quarter circle? Okay? So we know a semicircle is half, so you would find the area and then multiply by half or divide by 2. And for the quarter circle, same thing, you would find the area and then either multiply by 1/4 or divide by 4. It's the same. Okay. So this is an I do. It says find the area of the circle. Use 3.14 for pi. So here it tells us to use 3.14 for pi. So I'm gonna box that in because I think that's important information. Area is my keyword because that tells me what I am looking for, and then to use 3.14. So I'm gonna start with our acronym WTF. Write the formula, and then we're gonna substitute and solve. So we're gonna write the formula. What did we say our formula for area of a circle is? A equals pi r squared. That is correct, if that's what you said. So A equals 3.14 because that's what it tells us to use for pi here. R is our radius, which is, this is our radius. Remember earlier I told you it could be labeled, identified differently. So here you see that from going from the center to the top versus from the center to the right like you had previously seen it. Okay. So it's still the same thing. Times 4 squared because we said we're going to square our radius. So that means that is A equals 3.14 times 4 squared, which would be 4 times 4. So what's 4 times 4? 16, that's correct. So now we're going to have 3.14 times 16. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry your 2. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. And cross out your 6. We're done with that. Placeholder, 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So now you add those. 4, 12, 10, 5. And you have 2 decimal spaces. That means you're going to have 2 decimal spaces. So the area would be 50.24 inches squared, because if you remember from our warm-up, it said area is always going to be squared. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to our next problem. Oops. Number. So I do this. Okay. All right. So this sorry, you're going to find the area of the circle. So here it tells you you're going to find the area. That is your keyword, because it tells you what formula to use. You're going to use your formula for area of a circle. That's an important word. And an important number is 3.14, because that's what you're going to use for a pi. This is so area, remember, it's WTF, substitute, and solve. I'll give you a little bit of time. Okay, so WTF would be, yes, write the formula, A equals pi r squared. Then you're going to substitute. What do we use for pi? Well, it tells us to use 3.14. And then r squared would be 12 squared. Okay, so you're going to finish solving that out. I'm not solving it. It is a you do. Okay, you should have that on your notes. So when you turn it in, that's part of what I will be looking for. All right. So, quick checking for understanding. When I am solving a semicircle and a quarter circle, what do I need to find the area for each? So what do you need to do in order to find the area for each? So it's a bit of a typo. So we're gonna go ahead and say when I'm solving for a semicircle and a quarter circle, what do you what do I need to do to find the area for each? Okay, so that's correct. I don't know, I guess I read it wrong. And you're going to write that in complete sentences. You have a box here. I will be looking for this on your notes. So right here, check for understanding. I will be looking for your sentences here. So in case you missed that part or you forgot it, if you go back to here, this might help. Okay, remember what I said about this, or rewind your video to see what I tell you. Okay. All right, so this is I do number 2. Estimate the area of the shape using 3.14 per pi. So if you remember yesterday, we said pi was a never-ending decimal, so that's why it says estimate, because it is 3.14 is a rounded version of pi. And we are looking for area. So we're gonna start with WTF, substitute, and solve. So WTF, write the formula. So my formula for area is A equals pi r squared. So I'm going to substitute A equals 3.14. It tells me here that I'm using 3.14. My radius, okay? So my radius is going to be here. Okay? Remember that the radius is from the center of the circle to the outer edge of the circle. Well, if I have two pieces of these, you see how it would make an actual kind of a circle or half of a semicircle. So yeah, so all the way across would be my diameter, but I have a quarter of a circle, so that gives me my radius. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. So my radius is 10, so you're gonna have 10 squared. All right, so we have 3.14 times 10 squared, which is 10 times 10, and that is 3.14 times 100 equals 314. And how did I know that so quick? Well, when you multiplying by 100, I know that I have to just move my decimal 2 spaces out because my number is getting bigger. Or you could just um, multiply these, okay? You have 1, 2 decimal spaces, so that means I'm going to have 2 down here. So 0, 0, 4, 1, 3. So see, 314. But is that the area for this? Okay. So this would be the area for a full circle. Okay, that's if I had a full circle. Do I have a full circle here? No, I have a quarter of a circle. And we said how many quarters we have in a dollar? That is 4. How many quarters do I have here? 1, right? Because this essentially is oh, I thought that I don't know why I thought that's a circle. It is not a circle. Okay, so essentially this is 1. If you have a circle and you cut it into 4, it is just 1 part that we're looking for. So if it is 1/4, that means what? That we are multiplying this by 1/4, or like I told you earlier, you're dividing it by 1/4, by 4, sorry. So 3.4, 314 divided by 4. 4 goes into 31 7 times, and that gives you 28. You have 3 left over. Bring down your 4. 4 goes into 34 8 times, and that gives you 32. Okay, you're gonna have to add a 0, add a decimal and add a 0. It's 2, add your 0, and that's 5. So the area for this quarter of a circle is 78.5, right? So in case I lost you here, it was just I was dividing. So I brought this 34 up here and then continued my division there. Okay. All right, this is you do number 2. That says estimate the area of the shape using 3.14. So again, you're going to start with WTF, which is write the formula. You're going to solve and you're going to substitute. So WTF, what is our formula? A equals pi r squared. Okay, and this is what part of a circle? Quarter circle. So that means what? Okay, if you said divide by 4, you are correct. So you're going to substitute and you're going to have to divide by 4 at the end. So instead of divide by 4 at the end, I'm going to write divide area by 4. Okay, so you're going to work this part out, and then you have to divide it by 4 in order to find the quarter of a circle. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video, work that one out. I am not going to solve it out on the video. That is something I will be looking for when I come back and check your work. All right, so I do number 1. So find the area of the circle. We're going to use 22/7 for pi. So we're looking for area, and here it tells us to use 22/7 for pi. So we're going to start with WTF, which is write the formula. So it's A equals pi r squared. Now we're going to substitute, which is 22/7 times radius squared. So if this measurement is from here to here, is that our radius? No, that is our diameter. That is correct. So we have to take half of this. So what would be half of 14? If you said 7, you are correct. So you have 7 squared. So now you're going to solve. So A equals 22/7. This was 7 times 7, just 49, times 49/1. So I can just multiply top with top, bottom with bottom. Okay, so I can just multiply top with top and bottom with bottom. And if I did 22 times 49, that would give me 1,078. And then 7 times 1 would be 7, of course. Then I would have to take that and do top in, bottom out, which would give me 154. Okay, so I could do that. Or I could have done 22/7 times 49/1. Well, I know 7 and 49 are multiples of 7. So I can simplify by 7, and that would give me 1. And what I do to one side, I do by the other. And that gives me 7 as my answer. So I have 22 times 7 and 1 times 1. So that would be 1. And 22 times 7 would give me 154. So you see how I did the same work, I just simplified. And little hint or secret, anytime they tell you to use 22/7, whatever number you use that you get as your diameter or your radius is going to be a multiple of 7. So that's just a nice little hint to know, or kind of like a little cheat way. Okay, so the area of this circle is 154. Okay, so now you are going to do this one on your own. This is the you do, and it is the same steps as the previous one that we just did together. Okay, just with different numbers. So you're going to go ahead and write the formula, substitute, and solve. Okay, remember you're using 22/7, so you're going to write your formula. A equals pi r squared, and for pi you're going to use 22/7, and then your radius. And just like I told you yesterday, anytime they tell you to use the fraction, you have to use a fraction. It's going to give you, and it's going to give you a whole number versus a decimal. Okay, so you can't say, oh, well, I'm going to use 3.14. No, because it's not going to give you the same answer. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and work on your independent practice. Okay, so if you are in a class with your teacher, go ahead and raise your hand. Even if you are in the class with the sub, you can still raise your hand and ask for help. The sub will try to help you as best as he or she can, okay? But you are working on your own, and you do have to show all your work, okay? If you finish early, you're gonna work on Dreambox. The sub doesn't have your work from yesterday, okay? you're in a class with your teacher, then your teacher will have your work from yesterday and they will hand it to you. Okay? Have a good day. Please be on your best behavior for the sub. Okay? This assignment is due at the end of class. Make sure you turn it into yourself.